Each week I'm going to outline 2 sessions so that if you listen to every single podcast, and I'll also put these clips on YouTube, hello YouTube, you'll get a full season plan, okay, for your training. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, you need to make sure that your players are capable of doing this, and this is no substitute for medical advice for your players and whatnot, and you're ultimately responsible for what you do. But these are suggestions, and I'm going to do one junior pair of plans each week, and then some senior ones as well. And the juniors can, I think, you decide with your team. Do you think they can advance to the senior one, or some of the senior one, and some of the seniors, they'll need the junior one. Don't get me wrong. Right, so the third session for our juniors. So to get to session 1 and 2, you need to listen to last week's podcast or watch the clip on YouTube. Rugby League Coach is the channel. We're going to warm up passing in grids, so 10 by 10 lines of 4. And then we're going to do our dynamic stretches, and then we are going to do what I call rhythm runs, what Des Hasler used to call rhythm runs, and Donny Singe, his conditioning coach. Defensive line movement. And one thing I do with defensive line movement is I don't always start at 10 metres apart, because not every player always runs up 10 metres as well. What I want to do is try and get the rhythm in the defensive line, so I often reduce it to 4 metres to get the rhythm, and then extend it afterwards. So I would do some rhythm runs to practice line discipline. I'd spend 10 minutes on that. And let me tell you something, if you want a line, don't stop until you get a line. That's all I'll say at this juncture, because what you walk past is what you allow. I then focus on what I call effort 1, which is tackle technique. So a clear distinction here. I think effort 1 is the tackle, the actual contact. Effort 2 is everything after it. Okay? And I would focus on doing some of that with the players on tackle shields, and make sure you do bilateral learning in your sets of 6, 3 on the right shoulder and 3 on the left shoulder, get a few sets. Focus on the quality of your tackle technique. So I'm a fan of the shoulder shape, studs, tackle technique, shoulder contact, S-shaped body, studs in the ground, tackle technique. As always, there'll be links in the video on the YouTube channel, and to all the activities I'm talking about. I would then play the Find Space game, which is my favourite game in the world to play. The game is 2 teams, and each team has 3 tackles to find space. And if they're smart, what they will do is take 2 tackles to set up, and then on the third, try and find space on the field. And space is defined as green grass and fresh air, or if you are in Queensland like I am, yellow grass and very humid, thick hair. Hair? I have got thick hair, though. And then the next session, I would do a warm-up on doing 3v2. So I'd develop from the passing to the 3v2s now, to develop the ability to make a decision with good grip, pass, catch, carry. So if your grip, pass, catch, carry isn't good on 3v2, you probably won't make the right decision. Tell the players to hold the ball a little bit higher so they can see the top of the ball in their eye line, and then that allows them to look at the defenders. And warm up with 3v2. Do some dynamics while you're looking at them doing the 3v2. Have a look at the problems. Don't get too bogged down in their problems while they're warming up. Just let them experiment, and then spend some time fixing the 3v2. And then I would go back to what we did in session 3 that I've just mentioned. I'd do the rhythm runs again, because I'd repeat that again. And I'd teach them that if you're not efficient in retreating, it can cause you problems. So I'd show them what happens when players backpedal, how it slows them down. And I'd show them the difference. And I'd play the Find Space game again. But this time I'd focus on the defense. And I'd focus on them keeping the line and sliding across, even though the ball is moving. Okay? or recreating the line every time that the attack plays, because it's one thing us practicing a drill to get defensive line movement. It's another thing to keep that defensive line in the middle of a game. So it's really important that you apply what you've done in the drill into games afterwards. So what the find space game would do, you've done some passing, you've done some 3v2. The find space game will allow the attackers to get into 3v2, 3v1 situations, hopefully. Okay, so you can apply what you've learned in the 3v2 drill in the passing grids. And then when you've done the drills for rhythm runs, you've done the defensive lines, and you've done the tackle technique, you can, when you focus on the defensive side of the ball on the second session of the week here, you can tell them to put their shoulders in. You don't necessarily have to do full contact. I mean, if you want to and it's safe to, by all means, but make sure they put the shoulders in. If they don't put the shoulders in, say 6 tackles again or 3 tackles again, and then they've got to apply that defensive line. So that's a really nice, tidy session. Now, again, remember what I said earlier about obsession with drills, right? That's a really simple 2 sessions that I've just given you, but the key to doing this right is the quality of your coaching and the quality of making those rapid observations of what's going on and giving feedback, being able to ascertain what is going on and to fix it. Otherwise, you'll just be putting activities on. Right? So, again, if your content knowledge isn't good, you are going to struggle with the simplicity of some of these drills. Let's do something for seniors now. So, session 3. Always start your session with a briefing of some kind, right? Where you're at, what you want to focus on, what you focused on last session, etc. What I'm going to do with this senior group in their session 3 is I'm going to do rhythm runs to warm up. So let's say you've got 40 players, I'll do 4 groups of 10, and they've all got to do a set of 6, and if they don't do it perfectly, they go to the back of the queue, and then the next group goes up, and they'll get warm enough soon. And then we'll bring in our stretches. And then I'm going to introduce good ball to them. So the way I want them to operate in good ball. So again, so many of you will wait to do the team activity until the end of your session. You'll get your players tired first and then do the attacking stuff at the end of the session, or the tactical stuff. You'll notice here I flipped it around. I'm doing the tactical stuff first. And if you've been listening to me for a while or you've watched my stuff for a while, I always say do your good ball really early in the season. So for those who don't know, good ball is your attacking areas. Okay, so I define good ball as everywhere over the halfway line, but other coaches do it 30 metres out from the opposition try line. Some do 40 metres out. I do it from the halfway line with most of my teams. So in other words, when you're moving the ball around the most. Okay? And primarily, I'd try and do this, or ideally, I'd try and do this 13 versus 13. If you haven't got enough numbers, make a 13 and get the rest defending in some way and teach them how you want them to play in good ball, the basics of how you want to play in good ball. Okay, now for me, that would mean 1 or 2 types of set, basically. The way I coach is I give my players a skeleton that they're allowed to put the meat of the bones onto. Okay, and I teach them how to put the meat on the bones. But some of you will like a lot of structure. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean you shouldn't do that. Some of you will really want to structure your players, and all power to you. I don't begrudge you that if that's something that you want to do. So, but whatever you do, whatever you decide to do your good ball in this third session. You could argue you could do it in your first or second session. I tend to do that. But I didn't want to shock you last week. I wanted to do something a bit more manageable. And then in the last 30 minutes of the session, or 25 minutes, or 20 minutes, depending on the physical qualities of my players and how skilled they are at fitness things. I'm trying to be polite there. How fit or fat they are, right? I would do some fitness work at the end of the day, at the end of the session, and I would do some tackle technique with one group and some ruck control stuff. So I would do it as a fitness drill. So I will put that link in the YouTube video for you to see, but I will basically get them in groups of 3, tackling each other, wrestling into the ground, getting up, doing it again for 1 minute solid, and then break, and then the swap positions and somebody else. So it's a conditioning activity. And if you've got too many players, you split them up with the conditioner, and the conditioner does some work with them as well. And I've had a coach message me only today asking if it's okay for him to do some hill work. They've got a hill near where they're training. He wants to get his players' legs stronger and leg drive stronger. I said, yeah, that's fine, as long as you're not doing it in the whole session, and try and do it with the ball in the hand. So if you have a hill, this could be a good opportunity, right? So again, but just be careful, you're responsible for training, and this is your responsibility to make sure your players are safe. Session 4, so the second session of the week for our seniors, I'm going to do 3v2 ongoing correction to warm up before our dynamic stretches, and then check on their 3v2 again after I've watched it in the warm-up. So thinking back to what we did last week, we probably really only did some basic passing and brushed on 3v2, so I'm really getting into it now. And after spending a good 30 minutes on 3v2 and really nailing it and giving them some challenges and competitions, I'm then going to play a game using, again, the fine space game, which I talked about earlier, but hopefully I've got enough players to do 13 versus 13 at senior training. I would imagine most of you now are putting the seniors, the reserve grade, and the junior grades together at the moment, so you should have 26 players. I'd play the fine space game, and in that, I'd be practicing the good ball stuff that I taught them on Tuesday. That's exactly how I would teach good ball that week, because I've introduced it at a slower pace earlier in the week. Now I'm putting it in a game scenario. And what I would also do to increase the conditioning level, because we've not had any conditioning per se in the session this week, I would have different phases. I'd make sure we play the game for 8 minutes on and then 2 minutes off. So we could be going for an hour here with this game. And first period, I'd make sure the players just played. Second period off it, I'd make everybody go down. So they went down on the play, every single play the ball, offense and defense. Second period, I'd make the defense just go down. Third period, and then fourth period, I'd decide based on the fitness levels of the players. So if you get up and down off the ground at every play the ball, it's quite testing. Again, make sure your players are fit enough before they do that, okay? So, yeah, hopefully that gives you some guidance for the week ahead. If you want some proper detail, if you want some real analysis of what to do with your team, I strongly recommend the Coach Mentor program. We've got weekly, monthly, and yearly packages for every budget. So please get in touch, rugbyleaguecoach.com.au/Coach Mentor, or get in touch, admin at rugbyleaguecoach.com.au, or at Rugby League Coach on Facebook and Instagram. Send me a message or write a comment if you're watching this YouTube channel, and I'm sure we can sort something out.